Hi, everybody. Excuse me. So it's June the 16th. We're a little over halfway through Pride Month. Yay. I've been doing a bit of reading, and I'll do a review in a few minutes. But right now I want to talk about some things that are happening in the horror community right now. If you'll remember a couple of weeks ago, I reviewed Into the Forest and All the Way Through by Sina Palaio. And I talked about how, just the brutality of the subject matter and so on. And I've been following Ms. Palaio on Twitter, and she, like I said, she seems like a pretty nice person. And unfortunately, this week there was some drama, and she's gone off social media entirely. And I think that's really too bad. I do hope that she continues to write. I think she's very talented, and I really enjoyed the work of hers that I read. So what happened was, she was talking to a friend of hers who's a former police officer, and they suggested an anthology, a horror anthology called Cops versus Monsters. Now, my personal opinion is always, ever since Michael Keaton was cast as Batman in 1989, to reserve judgment until the work's actually out there. Let's criticize it when we actually have something there, so to speak. And let's talk about it afterwards, because it's not made yet. It's still in the idea phases. It's still in the brainstorming phase. But a lot of people, and certainly not without merit, considered that idea to be tone deaf, given the current political climate, especially in the United States, especially so close to the anniversary of George Floyd's murder. And a number of quite notable Black writers I saw commenting about how tone deaf it was, given that many Black folks in the community are well aware of what a cop might think a monster might be. And I think that's certainly a discussion that needs to be had and held. But people were very rude to her, I think, and unnecessarily so. And she said that she was insulted, and she got a lot of private messages from people that were just incredibly rude. And I don't think that that's necessary either. And so she ended up leaving social media, which is also unfortunate. And moreover, she not only canceled the potential anthology, she also canceled, she closed down. She said she was going to shut down Burial Day Books. She even suggested she's not going to write anymore, which I think is too bad. In her position, I would have, but I'm contrary that way. I would have just gone ahead and done it, and had that conversation about, we have entirely too many stories where cops are heroes, and we live in a reality where a lot of the time they're just unfortunately not. They're the monsters, right? And of course, he who fights monsters and that whole idea. So, anyway, that's one of the things that happened this week. I thought that was kind of interesting. And the other thing that happened this week was Silver Shamrock Publication. The publisher, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's something like Ken or something. Found this a little bit unfortunate as well. No, unfortunate isn't the right word. Somebody, again, brought up the subject of trigger warnings or content notices for people who suffer from PTSD. I think that people who do suffer from PTSD know what sets them off. I think that they're adults. I think that they can make their own choices. But I think that it is respectful to let them know that, this is a story that features graphic sexual assault or features, violence toward a child. And if you're not in the right headspace for it, read it next time, whatever. Don't be an asshole. So much of what they call, cancel culture or being woke or whatever, is really it just comes down to just don't be a fucking asshole, and to hold other people accountable when they're fucking assholes. But the publisher decided to write a long diatribe on why it's okay to be an asshole because horror's full of assholes. That doesn't make it okay. And no, putting a trigger warning on something and saying this is suggestive of this, it's not censorship. It's not Nazis coming for you. It's not even, not the same ballpark, not the same league, not even the same sport, okay, as our friend Samuel L. Jackson puts it. It's just not. And, I was a kid back in the days of PMRC and putting warning labels and so on. And at the time, there was so much, oh, horror, oh no, censorship, they're coming for us. Steven Tyler, summed it up best when he said, yeah, I'd like to thank Tipper Gore for, if an album has a few dirty words on it, it's going to sell a few extra million copies. Because immediately a lot of people are just going to go to it because it's got a warning label on it. So it all comes out in the wash. It all works itself out in the end. And as I've gotten older, and I didn't have kids myself, but I have dealt with raising other people's kids. Yeah, I would like, if I were a parent, I would want to know what they're getting into. I want to know what they're listening to. I want to sit down with them and say, this is not an appropriate way to act. How does this make you feel? I don't think that's the end of the world to say there's swearing here and there's graphic depictions of violence here and there's murder and whatnot. And yes, of course, you come to expect that in horror. But there are some things that you maybe don't want to deal with. Particularly sexual violence, particularly if it's a scene that doesn't really further the plot, that doesn't really have anything to do with the plot, it's just exploitive. I don't know. That's my opinion. Don't be an asshole. Don't defend being an asshole because you're a horror writer. Horror writers don't need to be assholes. Trigger warnings are just, letting you know what you're in for, and it's just a matter of trying to be respectful to people. And again, people with PTSD, they're adults too. They know what's going to set them off, but it's nice to know that, yeah, maybe this isn't the thing for them. I don't see what the big deal is. And again, if you're going to criticize something that's going to be made, you're kind of going to be in for a world of misery because nothing will ever get done, right? I mean, there's just so much obstruction. Let's make creation happen and then, criticize it when it's out there. So I guess that's my 2 cents on the drama in the horror community, and I'll be back with another review. Hope you're reading lots of great horror. Have a great day.